Hi folks, Don and Bob here, back with the Sauriarium, and this time we're going to feature the wild caught dinosaurs, which were part of a period when this map was spawning occasional Coelophysis when Coelophysis wasn't in the game. Of course it is now, but these animals were not spawned out of the nursery, they were found in the park. So we'll head in past the sign and see if I can get us through the handicapped exit that I mentioned, entrance that I mentioned in the previous video as going in. This is also shot after I had to put in a lot of guest amenities. So here is the first habitat. The first thing you can see, an elevated rock formation. I've got a feeding pan up at the top of that to entice the animals to come up there and look around. And otherwise, it's sort of a pit to keep them in there. Moving around to the right, we're going to go past this rock formation and ignore the building ahead of us. We'll get to that in another video. And take a look at this side of it. You probably can just catch the feeding pan up there. And there's another rock formation there on our left. We're going to go around that. Past yet another rock formation, which has a couple of seats for guests. The red concrete there is the Triassic indicator that we're in that part of the park. So here's a viewpoint from the other side. And so there's a lot of good viewing points, but there's some special ones. We're going to go through this faux rock gate. And this is where special tours could come to learn about Coelophysis, or be watched by Coelophysis maybe. And the building here is a combination keeper's hut with all this good keeper does stuff, and an observation area for interested researchers to study the animal's behavior. Obviously, it doesn't actually work that way in the game since we don't have researchers, but it's the idea that counts, right? So let's leave this portion and start to go over the bridge. This one cuts across this habitat. And then we're going to look at the examples of arid plantings. And it's sort of a garden there on one side, and on the other side, yet another view of this elevated area. And oh, well, there's two of them in there, and one's not like the other. This animal, when it first appeared, was completely black. And after updates, it turned into this marvelous looking creature. You can see its patterning, but instead of brown, it's black. I think it's pretty amazing. Whether this is what the melanistic animals will look like when those finally enter the game, which I think is going to be update 8. We'll see, I guess. We'll see if he changes too. But I sure like the way he looks right now. The solid black was pretty amazing too, but really hard to see any details on. So he's sort of our star. Popular animal with the guests, I'm sure. Certainly is with this park builder. I think he's just neat, and not just because he's unusual and rare. I'd heard of a couple of people getting black ones, but mostly they got the standard skin. This park produced both of them. So I had built this first part of the habitat anticipating them coming up and being in the game, but I didn't expect to have it populated this early in the game. So this is the other side of the habitat with their water hole. We went through their sort of sleeping cave, which has got the hay mats in there. So we're going to go back up. We're saving. We're going to go back up through here and rejoin that crossover. I tried to do the crossover with rocks rather than the wooden decking you see here, but it proved very problematic keeping the animals inside the habitat. So we have stairs here, and we're going to go down them losing height as we go. So we have to come back up to normal people height. And restrooms built into the bottom of the entrance building. And these are mesh fences I put together for these habitats with a standard bamboo 1 meter fence to keep people from feeding their fingers to the coelophysis. These two habitats are currently housing examples of the other two skins of coelophysis. I think I did in another video something similar to this, and the idea was that Pangea was so big there probably were regional variations, if not an entire whole species. So this one should have the feathered variant. Our guests can move along this track, and in this sort of entry area to the building, which is for the staff, they get clearer views of the animals, and sometimes, like now, quite up close, as this guy decided to hang out here for a little bit and make some calls. So I think after watching this guy, we'll head into the building. And it's not completely tricked out in there, but I wanted to show you what I set up as the indoor areas for the coelophysis. Well, I forgot we were going to do a look onto the other side to watch the coelophysis run behind a rock and hide and peek out at us. Oh well, we'll leave him to his games and turn our attention to actually getting inside there. So in we go. She can't come with us. Guests won't go through walls and doors. So again, with the mesh to set up the basic idea of enclosures that they can have in there. This should actually have a shift inside as well so that animals can be moved within the shelter. So we zoomed up for an aerial view now. You can see the Triassic portion of this park with the initial entry area there where the feeding pen and the rest of the main coelophysis habitat. Coelophysis will stay there. In the future, I may change out for other Triassic or even Permian animals if and when we get them. So that's pretty much the show off. Obviously no speed build this time. So it's time to watch our animals at play, including doing really strange gymnastics on rocks. Don't know what the locomotion update will do to that kind of rock climbing, but I guess we'll see. Because the coelophysis is still being an escape artist right now, and that's why we have a feathered one in here. He's supposed to be over in the other side, and I think these guys managed to swap one of their kind for one of the other kind in the enclosure here. And yeah, just to show it off, we'll get a side-by-side chirp at the guest chorus before they take a rest. Oh, well. And back to the other side, yes, we've got a scaly-skinned one over here, also checking out the guests and having things to say with them. This habitat I decided to deliberately have be very bare bones to emphasize the possible desert nature of the environment the animals might have lived in. Next time we will move to a different animal, also one that was early put into the park, and it may even be a double header. Back up on the rock now. These guys do like to get up here and walk around. If you're up close, the kinematics on their feet get a little wonky sometimes, but the view from the guest point of view is pretty neat, having the animals up here and able to see them. It's a little bit like giving meerkats a kopje to hang out around. If you don't know what that is, well, Wikipedia can be your friend. This is not Planet Zoo. So here's Blackie, back up here for another trek to the bug mound. Got to let everybody know he's there before he has a couple of choice mealworms and grubs. I had a little bit of haze in the park when I shot this, so the distant mountains look good and distant, which is nice. And these guys just did a lot of nice cinematic wandering around up here. They skid apparently on the rocks, which is semi-realistic if you think of it as scree, where the pebbles are all loose and able to slide and the surface not exactly flat. I don't know what he was doing there, trying to filter feed in the pond or something. He can be a silly boy. Anyway, thank you all for stopping by again. I hope you're liking the Sauriarium so far. It's a little bit different from some of the other parks that I've done. I'm trying for a little more modern feel in the facilities, but still having some theming for the different animal habitats or areas. We'll see how it goes. I have several things in mind. A couple are already in place or started in this park because, as I think I mentioned earlier, I started this quite a while ago. So thanks for stopping by. This is Dino Bob. Hoping you'll like, comment, and subscribe as usual. And whether you do or not, be kind to each other out there and take care of yourselves. Be well now. Bye.